Yo, what's up, guys? I've been asked a few times, what do you think about the Brux video? And it's actually kind of interesting. If you search for Etheria restart, at least for my algorithm, if I search for Etheria restart, I do find the video of Brux right away. So that's actually a video of saying like, okay, the game is trash. Definitely can be his opinion, but I would definitely say that there are a bunch of takes for it where his community and his playstyle will probably never like the game in the first place. And I had the same thing with Tectone, who pretty much said like, I would like this game just for the PvP. Well, it's not a game like League of Legends where you just go in and you right away start PvPing. This game is actually more built on, first you're gonna be grinding your gear, getting all of your modules, getting all of your shells, getting everything up, and then starting to think about PvP. Sure, it's definitely catered, as mentioned, as saying like, okay, we're going to be making a PvP-focused game, but in the end, this kind of gacha game is still driven by you gearing up. Personally, I come from Summoners War, and in Summoners War, this is a lot more common. But in this video, I do want to explain what are the things that are still bad about it, because there's definitely a few things in Etheria Restart that could be fixed, and if they're not fixed, more casual players will quit, and a lot of casual players have been quitting. And actually, Jay made a very good video on that, and I kind of want to give my topics on top of that video as well, so definitely do check out his video. Jambi also made a reaction video on Jay's video, so you can also check that out. I'll leave all of those videos in the description down below. But I also do want to give my takes on it, and my takes are slightly different than they have, because I've been playing a little bit more super sweaty, super tryhard. I played in the EWS, which is like their World Cup kind of thing. I've seen a few things over there, and also what I have experienced for like a try-hard player in Summoners War. So first of all, one of the takes that Jay made, which I think is very strong, the game should be focused on the casual players that are just playing like 2 to 6 hours a day, rather than the sweats like me that play this pretty much for a job because I make content out of it, and I have the chance to play like 8 to 16 hours a day. And yes, then that way you do progress faster than other people. But this game should be more catered towards the people that are just logging in, playing an hour or two or 6, and then logging out. But the big thing is, which I would say, is that the community from Brux doesn't really like this. I'm not sure if he comes from Honkai Star Rail or one of those kind of games, or Wuthering Waves or Genshin Impact. But those kind of games that I just mentioned are way more focused in, like, you log in, you do your dailies, you log out until there's a new content patch. These kind of games are really focused on like, okay, they just keep you kind of on the Ferris wheel, but you can also leave the Ferris wheel just on the background for a very long time. You just check it out every now and then, and you actually come back the moment that the Ferris wheel actually goes like in new spinning circles or whatever. Whereas a game such as Summoners War, maybe also Epic 7, is really focused on like every day you log in, every day you do your dailies, but every day you're also farming all of your energy, stability, stamina, or whatever you want to call it. And I do really think, and well, from what I've seen so far, Etheria Restart is more a game like Epic 7 and Summoners War, where you do log in every day, but you also have the game on at all times, or most of the time where you're just farming and doing your stuff, and therefore grinding your gear. And that's definitely one of those things that I would say Brux and his community definitely did not like, and that is totally fine, but then it just simply means not a game for you. But then I would also say, let's just move on, because a lot of his points are just catered towards not liking the game from the start, rather than giving it an honest try as the game is meant to be. Do I mean by that the game is perfect in the current state? Absolutely not. And that's why I'm making this video of what are for me the pain points and the issues that are going wrong, and also how to address those. Also, I am invited to the EWS as a guest in Shanghai. I will be bringing these points that I do make in this video towards the developers if I have a chance to sit down with the developers during that time. If there are more points in there, let me know in the comments. I will just make a Google Doc, write everything down, and if I have a chance to sit down with either Jack or a community manager or a dev or anything like that, I will try to address all of those points, because in the end, I like this game a lot. And I've seen that from Shambi as well. Shambi has done a little bit more of promotions than I have done in the past. I always said myself, I'm never going to do any promotion unless I actually really do want to play a game, or I actually would play something myself. So if I get a promotion from like Raid Shadow Legends and I don't feel like playing it, I'm not going to promote it on my channel. And that is the main thing that I've been doing thus far. The first game that I ever did a promotion on in the last 5-6 years of content creation was Etheria Restart, because I felt like, yo, I might actually play this because I think this game is really cool. In the end, at first I just did the promotion and I was like, game is kind of cool. Then he asked me for a second promotion. I kind of got hooked and I made a second channel on it. And I just went, was like, yo, this is really cool. And I actually started making content nearly daily for this game as well. And I've been playing this game like legit 8 to 16 hours every day since launch, which has been a good 3-4 weeks right now. So yes, I'm definitely invested in this game towards the point that I do really like this game. And I definitely would like to see this game have a lot of success, because in general, I do like this game a lot. I think that it has a really good ground and a really good base to be an incredibly good game. There's just some fundamental small things that are being really bad, and because of that, the whole tower kind of starts collapsing, and that's definitely where a lot of people are quitting. But therefore, I do want to address those, but I do also want to mention that I maybe have a chance to talk to some developers. I will definitely try my best to get those in, and hopefully we can make this the best game out there, because in all honesty, I think that this might be the best gacha game of 2025, and probably many more years to come if they fix a few fundamental things, which probably mainly caters towards the casual players having a more enjoyable playthrough, rather than just the sweats like me will get there at some point. Sweats like me will get there any point at some point, because we just try harder, or we just kind of figure it out, or we can just spend so much time about theory crafting that it's kind of there. But there's a few fundamental things that a casual player just wants to maybe check a few videos and see like, oh, I can use this team because this content creator uses that team. Well, then we get into the Lily issue. I put a lot of resource into Lily, therefore I clear everything with Lily. And therefore other players are like, yeah, I can't do that because of Lily or Claws or whatever. So those are a few things that I do want to address as well, but also what are the good fixes on those? So that will be for this video. The very first point that I would like to make, and I think it's highly a must in a PvP-driven game, there should be a split between your gear in Arena and in PvE. So anything towards Arena, I want to have a completely different environment for all of my gear, being able to set all of the gear in there and not walk into the issue that if I put something on defense, because you can see the defense success rate and defense win rate. This is all defenses when my defense is set properly. And probably if we scroll down, this is all when my defense is not set properly. Why? Because I was farming something else and I didn't have my defense set up properly. Also, yesterday I was playing a tournament. Because of that, my whole account was geared towards PvP. I couldn't clear a single Inferno stage anymore. Whereas normally I can clear every Inferno stage, some more easy than others. But I couldn't clear a single Inferno stage because my whole account was set up for PvP. That did also mean yesterday I couldn't finish all of my stability. I missed like 3 or 4 refreshes, which is the first time since launch, because I had to wait pretty much the whole day for playing the PvP first and then doing all of that, and then I had too little time to also do that in Inferno stage. We're currently kind of slow. So that is one of those things I highly want, to be able to have a split between PvP and PvE in all of your models and shells. Sure, you do have this thing right here, over here, where you can make these loadouts. The loadouts are really nice and all, but they're still on the individual unit. If I want to have like a loadout quick switch, at least we would have to have a loadout for all of the units together. And then I could make a loadout for all of my PvP and all of my PvE, and I could switch between that. But it would be a lot easier if you have all of your gear pretty much copied towards a PvP environment. If you get a new one, it's also copied towards a PvP environment. And then you have like every unit ungeared in the PvP environment, and you can start gearing everything from there. Or you can maybe have a button like, hey, let me gear that the same as in PvP, or let me gear that the same as in PvE, something like those kind of things, because that makes it a lot easier for people to step into PvP. It's a PvP-driven game. It is targeted and also marketed as a PvP-driven game, but people are struggling way too much to get to the PvP part because they're focusing that much on PvE, which is also a little bit too hard, which we'll talk about in a second, but they don't get to the fun part. I saw right away in the Tecton video where he did the promotion saying like, okay, I wouldn't like this for the PvE, but I really would like to try this for the PvP. It's probably not your kind of cup of tea in that case, because you do have to grind yourself towards actually getting the gear to start PvPing. But at least you can start PvPing in an early stage rather than right now. I feel like that I'm pretty okay geared, but I still don't feel PvP ready. And the main thing is I cannot simply use my PvE things and PvP things together. I'm definitely a really big fan of Bulwark. But for example, in PvE, I'm not going to be using this on Bulwark. And that is the kind of thing. Some of those sets, the immunity set is really good in PvP, but really bad in PvE. And therefore, we absolutely need that split. Then talking about a few things that are too hard or too easy or anything like that. Let's start off with the events. Well, first of all, we have this event. It's just like you log in, you do your daily stuff, and you're good to go. That's definitely not an issue. But you also have these events that are rotating over here. Shell Story, very RNG, but in the end, you will get through it, and it's kind of fine. It's a little bit too much RNG for my liking. The first rotation I did, I could only go through the whole list. Like, I was getting the 7th one on the final day, whereas I heard people asking me in the 3rd day already. It's like, oh, what should I buy from this thing? It's like, buy what? I don't even know about that. I would say Cage Rumble, I really do like. Cage Rumble is absolutely amazing. Sure, this is very endgame focused, but I think this should also be marketed as like, hey guys, you're not supposed to clear the whole thing. This is going to be a hard thing, and this is the actual endgame PvE. But the big issue is that they're treating this as the actual endgame PvE. They're treating the Inferno stage as the actual endgame PvE. I don't think that is a good way to do things in the first place, because sure, they did nerf the Termaton Inferno and they did nerf the Nikonana Inferno, But trust me, try Rengoku 2 on Inferno. That stage is really fun. I have tried for a very long time. I have a team that's about 60-70% average success right now, but it's a really RNG stage. Like, you have the two side things that throw silences at you. If they throw that at the wrong unit, you just die. If he goes for a counter at the wrong moment, you just die. If this thing goes for an armor break, you just die. There's just a lot of ways that you die. Whereas this is actually one of the best shells, the Kodak of Magicka, and also the Count is in there. Lighthouse and Fortissimo aren't as great, but definitely a few really good shells in here, and a lot of people should be farming it, but they simply cannot because this stage is that incredibly hard. So I would definitely say that tuning everything down on all of the Inferno stages is highly recommended, just to have people be able to focus more on the actual end game of PvE, which I would say is an Ember Track, is an Ethernet Rally, is an AnySync Echo. They're adding more stage to the AnySync Echo, which also makes the difficulty more and more increasing. And they can focus on the Cage Rumble, or at some point the Affinity Train, or all of those kind of things. That is true endgame PvE for me. And there's plenty of stuff to do that we don't have to be focusing all too crazy on any of those. Another thing which is coming back to is like the Lily issue, as I would call it. If you go over here right now and you go into Aurora, and I think that Aurora is maybe not the best example because, well, let's just check it over here. We have a Lily over there, Lily over there, Lily over there, Lily there, Lily, Lily. Lily. You get the idea. Like, half of the list is freaking Lily. I would like to see a button is exclude unit X. So I want to see anyone who cleared this without a Lily. And I want to see this kind of team. It's like, oh, cool. Can I actually make that? Oh, no, wait. I also don't have a Rosa. Let me find a team without a Lily and without a Rosa. Show me the team. Because now the big issue is people use whatever they put Latices into. And because of that, I'm going to be making a video. If I make a video guide on whatever I clear, I'm going to clear that with a Lily. Why? Well, the simple fact is, well, this doesn't really help that much. But this helps an insane amount. This helps an insane amount. Without this and this on a different unit, I am simply not going to clear it. Because in the end, GP Outpost is by far the strongest way of improving your account by a 100% long shot. Doesn't matter what shells you get, doesn't matter what models you get, sure, they're amplified by that as well. But as long as you have the right skill ups, where you have like a cooldown decreaser, where you have the skill ups where activation rate goes up, those things are so much stronger than anything else in the game. And because of that, I am going to be using whatever I have skilled up, and that is my way of clearing things. If you don't have those units, let's say that I would say it's like, oh, you can definitely do it with a Freya, but your Freya is full skilled. It would be as useless of a video, technically, like by the standard of saying like, oh yeah, I cleared this stage, but my Freya is full skilled on all 3 skills. It's like, yeah, that's pretty much as hard to get as a Lilia by this point. So that's definitely one of those things. Those things do take a fair bit amount of time. And I would say for the SSRs, fair. That it takes a fair amount of time to get those, I don't see the issue. But I would also say that I think it should be easier to get those. Because I think a lot of content, if not all content, is clearable with SR units the moment you have all of the SR units skilled up. There's going to be very specific SR units like, oh, you need a Chachi the Guard for this stage, you need an Obel for that stage, you need a Fungus for that stage. You probably can go for like a Dorothy on a different stage, Marvel on a different stage. They're all very specific on their individual stages where they would have to be used. But because of that, it would be a lot more chill if we can actually get a lot of resource in here. I would say totally fine on the perfect Latices in here. Those should be rare. Those are the end game. Those are the PvP. And then you actually have to kind of cater towards like, okay, where do I use my resource and which PvP unit do I want to clear? But it would be really nice to see that the SR units would be a lot easier to skill up. Because the SR units, there's a lot of good SR units right out there. But it's just not possible to skill up all of those, to use all of those. And therefore, clearing the content with a free-to-play team is still a lot more difficult for me personally as a content creator to show. Because I'm very sure I could make a lot of free-to-play teams if I had all of the SR units skilled up. And then not even to talk about the R units. There's one crazy good R unit out there. Probably people have already seen him a lot, which is Vice, which is my own 6-star unit that is an R unit. But in the end, you still had to get all of those skill ups in here. Let me grab a different R unit. So if you go for this one, you have to go for the skill ups in here. So you still have to get those skill ups first, and that takes a little bit of time. It takes you at least 2 weeks of the resets of those things in all of the shops to actually max skill one of those units. And I think that is a big issue. Also, on top of that, right away catering into the next question as well. Let's just go for next one. Sure, you fail a little bit of times, but that's totally fine. Double drop. Double drop for modules and shells, I think is too much. But hear me out on this one. I think that the double drop should not come back. Hear me out on this one again. I think that the investigation and GP outpost should be doubled or maybe even tripled permanently. And the reason for that is investigation gives very little to no drops. You could unlock this from like, what, level 28? I'm like 60 levels over 28 right now. Could be maybe a little bit higher, but doesn't really matter. This should drop way more. This should go up until like the investigation level 40 or 50 or something like that. Make this a bit harder and actually drop way more of those. Drop like the next stage of these. And I think that the drop rate of this should be way, way higher. Same for the GP Outpost. I feel like the GP Outpost, at some point you get to the Hell 3 stage. We unlock this also by level 28, 30, 35, whatever. This should be way higher as well. Like the difficulty difference in this compared to Inferno stages is absolutely humongous. And I would not necessarily say it's like, oh, make this crazy hard, so that is the next thing that we cannot farm. No, definitely up the drop rate, because I do see a lot of people, they want to build units, and they have like, oh, this team needs this specific unit, that team needs that specific unit, this team needs that specific unit. I would straight up say investigation times 3 the whole drop rate. GP Outpost, as I mentioned, is the best way to upgrade any of your units out there. Times 3 on the drop rate, and then keep the modules and the shell drop rate as is. Also, I personally would like them to say at some point an official notice saying like, hey, the Blessing Galore is an exclusive event. Another thing that I would like to talk about is their communication. So rolling in from one to the next, but it's definitely a linking as well. The Blessing Galore, which is the 2x event, is here mentioned as an exclusive event. Does an exclusive event mean a one-time only? Does it come back monthly? Does it come back every time they fuck up? Does it come when? How? Where? We don't know. And that is the big issue for me saving the stabilizers as well. And sure, you could say it's like, oh, diamond hands, hold those, hold those. I would say, in my opinion right now, save up until like 30-ish. And then when the event comes, most of the time you're not farming Inferno that fast. About 30 will get you through like the weekend, and that's good enough for that. But I would like to have them say a notification saying like, hey, we did that as a one-time because you guys were that hyped about it, but we're not going to do that anymore. And you can use the stabilizers when you have time, because in the end, I really like to spend my time on the game when I have time, and not when a game says like, hey, this weekend you should be there. And then it's like, yeah, but I have like a festival and a birthday party and my kids going to this kind of thing and whatnot. Like, people have lives, so we cannot really cater everything around the game. Sure, for me it's a lot easier because I'm a full-time content creator, but for the normal people out there, the casual players that should be more catered towards with this game in the first place, they should be way more focused on saying like, hey, maybe just make a ticket that you can claim a 24-hour drop on the day that you want. Could be also something like that, but at least let us know what is your plan with that, because now people are saving it once again for the ideas like, am I saving for something? Am I not saving for something? What am I doing? And then also, I saw Vulcan, for example. He saved up like 70 or 80, but he didn't have that much time in the weekend. And he only used like 30 or so. So, yeah, it's like diamond hands. We save all of those, and then you want to use them. It's like, wait, I actually didn't have time because light. So in this case, we did talk about the events. We did talk about the PvE being too hard, but I think it's actually very clearable with SR units. If we had all of the resource to make every SR unit. PvP split on gear, the 2x drop. But there are a few more things that I also do want to talk about. First of all, the shells. Getting the right shell with the right stats is incredibly difficult. I actually tried to get a Swift Rush with the Swift Raid for a very long time. So since the 2x, which is about 7 days back from now, I tried to get a Swift Rush Swift Raid because I did do a lot of Doki Doki, and therefore I have a lot of Swift Raid modules. I got 0. I did pretty much all of my stability in either Nikonana or Rengokutsu Inferno, and I got absolutely 0. So that's one of those things. And if we check here for the matrices, how much did I get over here? And I even sold like half of the pile that was already bad. So for me to use all of those, or even like a few fraction of those, it's so difficult to get the right sets at the right moment. I would like to see any kind of pity systems with the shell that at some point, every time that you maybe recycle a shell, or every time that you get a drop of a unique or like a mythic or whatever, you do get like some kind of material as well, similar to what they have for the module shop. And you can actually buy one with where you can select 2 of the stats. And maybe the third one is still random, but at least 2 of the stats you will buy towards what you get. So I can select the Swift Rush, I can select the Swift Raid, and then the third stat is whatever random. Still keep some randomness in there. They like those kind of things in the gacha games. Don't give it full for free. And then maybe you can buy one of those like once a week if you farmed enough. Something like that would be really nice. But right now, it's just like mindlessly farming for the same thing over and over, and you're just simply not getting it, which is kind of frustrating. Talking about frustrating things, shells, if we go for shells, and we go for these, I think everyone by now kind of had the feeling of trying to upgrade one of those or reconfigure one of those and trying to get the speed over here on the right time. And the amount of time that you got like a gigabyte with a high crit rate, crit damage rather than a speed is insane. So also for this, I would like to see some kind of a pity system that maybe if you did do like 100 tries, which is already like an insane, that would be like a 3 mil. After 100 tries, you can at least say, okay, the highest thing that you got in the right stat or something like that. Or at least you can like smaller the pool of what kind of things you're rolling for. Because right now, the pool is way too big of what you're rolling for. You're rolling for the flat stats, the crit rate, the crit damage. There's legit, what, 8 different kind of things you can roll in. And then after those 8, you also have to get the specific stat itself. So it would be nice, let's say if you do 10 times of a reroll, you can cross out one of those. You do another 10 times of those rerolls, you remove another line. You do another 10, you remove another line. Still, you're rolling by RNG, and you can get very dry, you could get very unlucky. But at least you're progressing towards something. Like the more resources that you put into something, the more chance you get to get the thing eventually. Whereas if you want to get a 20 speed by full chance, it's probably like a 0.0 something percent. But if you put like, let's say 15 million of that kind of shit in there, it doesn't even guarantee you that you get a speed 16 once. But if you go by the system that's like every 10 rerolls, which in the end 10 rerolls is still a 300k, which is a fair bit of farming in the first place. At least if you remove one of the things like, hey, I just want to not roll in attack anymore. I don't want to roll in flat HP anymore. I don't want to re-roll in flat defense anymore. Just give me the good stuff. And at some point you will get to the points like, okay, you can only roll an attack, and then you're just rolling for the highest grade. And at that point, you will at some point get the attack 30%. Something like that. There's a lot of pity systems that you can think of to make that work. But I would definitely like to see a pity system for re-rolling for this. Otherwise, people get way too frustrated over this. I remember when we got out of the epic module moment and we got into the first mythic, I was like, yo, I got my gigabyte. Let me try for a speed. Well, let me tell you that I farmed pretty much all of my stability into shells. And I throw everything at the gigabyte, and it cost me 2 mil or 2 mil of the training data, and I got 10s on both. Yeah, that's kind of frustrating. So therefore, a little bit more of a pity system than that would be highly recommended. Then also, I would say something that's pretty big on the miscommunication. They made the balance adjustment, and we were mainly saying it's like, hey, you made PvE changes, and because of that, we don't like it. They said like, oh, we're not going to make any RTA changes or PvP changes until between the balancing of the seasons. That's not what we asked for. Sure that you do it, but it's not what we asked for. And there's actually something that became an issue with that. And that is in very particular Revelation. Revelation is incredibly strong in the endgame PvP right now. There's people with 7 Revelations just drafting only Revelation units, and they do an insane amount of damage. Let me show you how that looks like. So this is a tournament that I played yesterday, and you can literally already see it. Revelation, 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 and then a super fast unit. Whereas the Revelation, you can completely ignore whatever stat is on it, and you can still go Swift Rush and Swift Raid because Swift Raid is on the Revelation. And you can make an incredibly fast unit, such as a Freya, that also does do an insane amount of damage by just having 2 slots of crit rate, 1 slot of attack. And look at the amount of damage she does while being the fastest unit on the field. So if we look at my HP, just completely depleted. And that is the thing, you need 2 Revelation units. Look at that damage. That was the damage of someone that moved all the way first. What? Why? Then a few of my units moved. His unit moved also on Revelation. Kills the whole bunch. What? Here a different matchup where we have a Rosa with a Revelation. So it's just 1 Revelation unit. But it's actually on Bloodbath. So because of the Bloodbath, look at my damage. I do near to no damage on the thing on the right. Because of Bloodbath. Actually, he has a lot of units on Bloodbath. But sure, fine. Makes sense. Then let's look at his damage. So he's Bloodbath. So keep in mind, he is already on a very tanky build. Look at the Revelation damage on all of my units. So my Linglo is pretty tanky in about like 75-80% HP. Let's see how much a Revelation does to a tanky unit in the first place. Because it's mainly high on HP, it's not super high on the defense. And it completely dies. That is definitely kind of an issue right there. I would say that is a little bit broken and maybe should be a little bit downtuned. But the big issue is they're not going to do that because they actually mentioned they're only going to be doing that in between seasons. And the season right now is still 80 days away. So it's definitely one of those things that, yeah, they cannot really adjust those anymore because we actually said like, yo, you're adjusting things in PvE, which we don't like. And then they were like, oh, yeah, let's not adjust things in PvP, which once again, the communication is a little bit off. And might you ask, like, how would you nerf it? Maybe only the Revelation first hit works in that. Sure, in PvE, I would still like it to work. Maybe in PvP, it just works slightly different. Anything like that. There could be a lot of options that you could slightly down-tune it. Maybe the stats requirement to actually make it work are a little bit higher to actually get towards the full stack of Revelation. Anything like that where a support just doesn't do like an insane amount of damage for just having one attack module and 2 crit modules and then just being super speedy in the first place. It is a little bit weird. We do see it in the EWS right now. The people that are getting most amount of victories are just Revelation stackers. So these are all of the takes that I really do hope to be having fixed in Etheria Restart. If they fix that, once again, I think that it's going to be the greatest gacha game in 2025 and probably many more years to come. I really do enjoy this game, otherwise I wouldn't be making this much content out of it, playing it this many hours, talking about it this many times. But there's just a few fundamental things that are very wrong about the game, which just makes casual players not enjoy it. And the thing is, a game cannot run without its casual players. And if you're triggering and frustrating the casual players too much, your game will bleed out. And that is definitely not something that I would like to. So hopefully I have a chance during this event of the EWS to talk with a developer just a little bit before that or after that. I have no clue. I have a chance to talk and sit down with them and say like, hey, these are the things that are not going that well in the game. Because in the end, I'm one of those players that's very invested in all of this and trying to make it the best game possible. So hopefully that will work out. So once again, if you guys have any feedback or any points that you would like me to address over there, I will put that into a Google Doc. And just simply let me know in the description down below what you guys would like me to talk about with them to make this game better. So that's all for me. Definitely a little bit of a lengthy video, but I hope to see you as always in the next one. Thanks for watching. If you would like to see more guides, join the Discord and check out the content tab for the guide video archive, which contains all of the guides that you might need. Hope to see you there.